الحمد لله رب العالمين الذي لم يخلق الإنسان عبثا والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. My brothers and sisters, indeed, I enjoin upon you and upon myself the fear of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says in a verse of the Quran, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says in this verse, in this noble verse of the Quran, that whoever is conscious of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He shows him way out, that is out of his predicament, and also enriches him through means he never expected. Insha'Allah, my brothers and sisters, indeed, to this sermon I want to connect it to an incident that happened yesterday somewhere here in Lagos between His Excellency the Executive Governor of Lagos State and some, children. I know for those who go through, some of our newspapers, I've seen it in the Daily Trust of today. That story is about two children that he saw on his way that are supposed to be in the school, but unfortunately they were on the road, maybe carrying water or something on their heads, and he had to stop to ask them why they were not in the school. Although I know in the newspaper that detail isn't, given. But yes, I can give the detail because I had the governor give the detail by himself. So I was in a function where he was, and he narrated the scenario. So at least I can be able to, give us the details of the information. One of the children, the other one was, one was 8 years, or is 8 years old, while another one, the second one, is 12 years old. As the 8 years old, her name is Chidimma, while the 12 years old, her name is Suwaiba. So what I want to draw our attention to it here is this. You see, things happen around us, and we don't care, and we don't pay attention. Then later on, we begin to complain of the consequences of those things. If the governor didn't stop to check them or to find out about their problem wouldn't have been solved, maybe. And if their problem isn't attended to, as the consequence of the problem, we will all wake up to face it tomorrow. So the lesson I want to draw our attention to here is this. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala said to us in the verse of the Quran, precisely in Surah Al-Qasas, verse 77. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is saying that وَأَحْسِنْ كَمَا أَحْسَنَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْكَ وَأَحْسِنْ كَمَا أَحْسَنَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْكَ. Be good, that is to others, the way Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is being good to you. We need to begin to look at other people's problem as our problem. And as parents, we also need to begin to look at problems and try to see how we can solve them. Like, one of the things he mentioned, that the girl of 8 years, yes, she couldn't go to school because the parents couldn't afford the school fees. Yes, she was going to school, but that, within the period, or now she is staying at home because the parents couldn't pay the school fees. Yes, sometimes parents may be wrong and they may be right. The school the child was going to or is going to is a private school. So if, for instance, you put your child in a private school and for any reason you couldn't afford the private school, then send your child to what? Public school. That is one aspect of what? Of the narrative. Because if you couldn't afford the private school and you can afford the public school and you refuse to send the child to the public school, then you've done more damage to the child than what? Helping the child. That is as a parent. So sometimes our problems come from we not actually trying to do things within our means. It's not easy sometimes, but sometimes it is better we think that way. It's even if we feel, or some of us have excuse that, public schools are not as good as we were expected, but at least it is still better than what? Not going to school. If you want your child to go to school, that is on the part of the parents who at least can afford the public school and couldn't afford a particular private school they want to send their child to. Because if we want to get out of this mess, we need to begin to check or identify our problems. Because sometimes some of us don't learn to cut our coat according to what? Let me say our clothes. Some will say according to our size, I mean. Yes. Yes, you want the best for your child. But give your child the best within your means. Give your child what? The best within what? Within your means. So if your child couldn't go to public school because you couldn't afford the public school, let's assume if the governor asks you why didn't your child go to school, then he will understand that it's his fault, not your fault. But if your child couldn't go to private school because you couldn't afford the private school, and he have provided the public school for you that you can afford, then the fault becomes what? Your fault, not his fault. And what makes me also happy about the scenario was because, yes, no one can connect it to any religion, so that we can understand the state of our communities. Yes, you have Chidimma who couldn't go to school. You have Suwaiba who couldn't go to school. Then that means we all need to come together, whether as Muslims or as Christians, to save our communities, to save our states, to save our nations collectively. Then the other aspect I'm going to is this. Maybe those whom Allah have placed in positions like our Excellency, that is the government, and those whom Allah have given the wealth. Yes, if he did not stop and he feels he's busy, or they are nobody for him to pay attention to, then those children would have remained the way they are. But because he cared, he stopped. because he said he was on his way coming from somewhere around Anthony or thereby. Like I said, yes, I didn't read the story from the paper. I had the story from the governor himself before somebody wrote it in the paper. So because he stopped, then he was able to what? Figure out their problem, or gotten information about their problem. Not someone telling him, but he had it himself. That yes, those of us in positions, those of us that Allah have given wealth, then let us begin to look at problems around our communities. Let us try to see how we can solve them. I want us to always remember one thing. Wallahi, when you help people, it is yourself you help first before them. Allah the Exalted said in the verse of the Quran that man amila salihan, whoever does good, he said what? He said فَلِنَفْسِهِ, is for himself. وَمَنْ أَسَاءَ, whoever does evil, who suffers it? فَعَلَيْهَا, he is the one that suffers. Yes, my appeal to myself and the rest of us is this. Yes, the way he stopped to pay attention to those children, to see how he can assist them. I and you, we need to ask ourselves this question, because there is a mentality most of us have. We usually feel, and I keep repeating this, our problems can't go because both me and you, everyone thinks that someone else is supposed to solve the problem. It's just like when you don't have job, you feel someone's supposed to give you job. You don't think that you can also create job. You assume somebody should create the job before you get the job. You don't think that you can create job. Yes, the government have their part. The parents have their part. And each individual also have his own part. Some children, inherit wealth from their parents. And some children become wealthy on their own. So it doesn't mean you have to become wealthy by inheriting your father's money. If your father, Allah did not bless him, did not make him rich, for you to become rich by sharing his own money, then Allah can also make you rich by what? Working for your money. Like the story of the Sahabas, when they migrated from Mecca to Medina. Yes, the rest of the Sahabas in Medina, out of their own law and their concern for their brothers who came from Mecca, they agreed to share what? Their properties with them. Some accepted and some did not accept. And some who accepted, some were still wealthy, while some who did not accept were also still wealthy. So it does not mean until somebody, take for example like business, it is not until someone gives you capital to start a business before you can become wealthy. You can become wealthy with the capital to start your business, and you can become wealthy with experience to start the business. Abdurrahman bin Auf, when he came to Medina, the person he was joined with, the person was very wealthy also. He asked him, show me, pick any of my wives. I will divorce her for you to marry. And I will share my properties into two. You take half, and I take half. Then he said, may Allah put barakah into your wealth and into your family for you. Just show me the road to the market. And today Abdurrahman bin Auf, radiallahu anhu, was one of the richest people in Medina. Not because someone gave him money to start business, because he entered into the market with his experience. And some people go into the market, collect items, when they don't have anything, collect items, sell the items, pick their profit, and give back the owner of the item money for him. And from there he begins to build his own world, his capital. From there he gets to a level whereby he buys with his own money, not collecting and paying later anymore. Well, another person begins with buying and making his profit straight away. So the challenge all of us are having is this. we usually plan our lives according to someone else's life. Yes, you see your friend build a house, maybe 6-bedroom flat. You too, you will say you want to build 6-bedroom flats because your friend built how many? 6-bedroom flats. He built 6-bedroom flats. He has 4 wives. You have only 1 wife and you want to build 6-bedroom flats. So his reason for building 6-bedroom flats is different from your own reason. His own reason is based on his need. Your own reason is based on competition. Being that he built his own number based on his need, it is normal. Being that you build your own number based on competition, it will end up resulting into wastage. And what Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala told us about wastage in the verse of the Quran is this. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says, وَلَا تُبَذِّرْ تَبْذِيرًا إِنَّ الْمُبَذِّرِينَ كَانُوا إِخْوَانَ الشَّيَاطِينِ وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِرَبِّهِ كَفُورًا. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says, وَلَا تُبَذِّرْ تَبْذِيرًا. Do not be wasteful. Why? He said, إِنَّ الْمُبَذِّرِينَ. Certainly those who are wasteful are إِخْوَانُ الشَّيَاطِينِ, are brothers of shaitan. And he said, وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِرَبِّهِ كَفُورًا. And shaitan is someone who is ungrateful to his Lord. So my brothers and sisters, indeed, my appeal to myself and the rest of us is this. Let each and every one of us begin to identify the problems within our community and see what you can contribute. Yes, you have people elected or appointed or selected or call it whatever name. To what? To take care of those things. But that also did not exonerate you from what? Doing your own part within your own means. Apart from the authority, yes, every parent is supposed to what? Be responsible for his child. So if that child is not being taken care of by the father or by the family, due to one reason or the other, whether genuine or not genuine, and you now as a person, you ask yourself, yes, if the father didn't discharge his responsibility, no problem. If you like, don't help the father. But what is the crime of the child? So you refuse to help the father because he is not discharging his responsibility. But the child also is an independent entity to some extent. Then if you don't help the child because of the father, if you refuse to help the child because of the mother, then help the child because of the child. What's the child's crime? What's the child's crime? Yes, because you feel the father is irresponsible, then you don't want to help the father, right? Then now the mother is irresponsible. If that is your excuse, you don't want to help the mother, right? But what is the crime of the child? If you can't help the man, you can't help the woman, then you cannot help a child. Then you see many of us living in our various communities. You have children roaming the streets, not going to school and not learning anything tangible. And you feel it is okay. Then tomorrow you begin to have bandits, you begin to have what you call it, thugs, you begin to have this and that, and you say it's the fault of the government. Yes, government have their fault, you too have your fault. Because Allah have told you, is a nonsense in life. If you want to be saved, save others. If you want to be happy, help others. Allah said, وَأَحْسِنْ كَمَا أَحْسَنَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْكَ. Allah said, Allah help his servant, so long as his servant help what? His brothers. And helping people, we should not think that it is something restricted to those who are multi-millionaires. Everybody can do something within his means. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ taught you. He said, ittaqun nara. Save yourselves from the hell. Even if it is with what? He said, walau bi tamra. Even if it is with half of a date. If you can send your child to private school, help another child to public school. It's a charity. It's a sadaqah. Apart from that sadaqah, you are saving yourself. You are saving yourself. You are saving your family. You are saving your children. If you think you're giving your children the best, and you neglect other children, those children will become headache to your own child or to your own children. And that's what we are seeing. Yes, you will buy expensive phone for your child and somebody will take the phone in the traffic. Have you? Yes, you send your daughter to school and somebody will carry her and go and cut her and pieces her and sell her into, like spare parts. For what? In the name of money ritual. Is that not what is going on now? Yes. There are things, if we want to stop them, we need to begin to look at the cause of those things. So that as people in power or in position, as people Allah have given wealth, let each and every one of us ask himself, what is your contribution to your community? I used to say to people, any environment you find yourself, your worth is not determined by what you get from there. Your worth is determined by what you offer there. It's a general law. In any company, no company will pay you more than what you can generate for the company. Because if what they offer you is more than what you offer the company, you are a liability. And no business wants a liability. They said the best amongst you are what? Those who are more useful to yourselves. How much you have doesn't mean anything. But how useful you are, that's what matters to us. How much you have doesn't make you anything. It is senseless people that think you are somebody based on how much you have. But sensible people assess you and based on what? How you touch the society positively. And that's why a poor man can be more useful than a rich man, and a rich man can be more useful than a poor man. It depends on your impact in the society, not based on how much you have. The Prophet told us in the hadith, very clear hadith. He said the best, he said al-yadul ulya. He said the upper hand is what? Khayrun min al-yad sufla is better than the lower hand. So the person giving is better than the one receiving. The one receiving, the other one is what? Giving. This one is what? Receiving. So if you are going to judge it from the perspective of receiving and giving, who is better? The one giving. So if you want to know your worth in the community, check yourselves based on what you offer. Take for instance, whether like in politics, if you want to know whether you are a governor or whatever, chairman, if you want to know your worth in the community, not how much you are worth after finishing your tenure, that doesn't determine your what? How good or how better or how well you perform. How well you perform or how good you are is determined by how you were able to make positive impact in your environment within the period you've been what? Given a responsibility. So I want myself and the rest of us, within our own little way, see how we can change these things happening around us. We want to stop money ritual, then let everybody know that yes, okay, fine, everybody needs to help those around them. Because we refuse to help them, then they will look for a way of helping themselves too. It's nobody is giving people excuse for some of those evil things. Yes, because some are still rich and they are still doing it. Because some don't even have excuse. And like I said, in our various states, in our various communities, ask yourself, how are you helping? The vulnerable ones among us, how are we trying to save them? So the advice is from two sides. We try as much as we can to do things within our means, to some extent. And at the same time, yes, people, no matter how much people try to do things, within there have been sometimes some challenges come. Those of us Allah bless, then how can we help those who don't have? How can we help those who have challenges? Look for people who are in need of help. Help them. Do it fi sabilillah. Allah will take care of your own needs for you. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله العظيم الجليل لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب وخطيئة فاستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل. My brothers and sisters indeed. So I want us to pay attention to cases of children. You know, it's something we all believe. That is, the children of today are what? The leaders of tomorrow. So if you want to know how our tomorrow will be, you can now assess it from how the children of what? Today are. We can have the best future when we don't have what? Good present. So we need to pay attention to our present. We need to pay attention to our children. And when I say our children, any responsible and rational human being will help any child. Whether you know the child, you don't know the child. Whether the child is born by your relative, you don't know whether it's not your relative. Today, things have becoming so bad that even relatives don't help their what? Their family members. Do what you can. Today, it's easier for people to gather money for your burial than gathering money to help pay your hospital bill. Yes. Even when the money will come. If somebody died, yes, it's easier to raise money for his burial than raising money for what? For hospital bill. So what kind of society are we? What kind of people thinking upside down? Yes, we can't raise money to send children to school because you don't know them. We are only looking for problem to raise money for problem. We are not raising money for what? For good. Like now, somebody that died. Yes, even if you didn't spend a penny, you bury him. What does that cost? Nothing. He has died already. So if you like spend millions for the burial, that will not give him Jannah. What will give him Jannah is his deed. But when he is sick, when you save his life, at least he can work for Jannah. We need to change our thinking. We need to begin to do things fi sabilillah. And when Allah bless you, He has opened for you door to Jannah. Like we say, you don't need to know a child. You don't need to know the family he comes from. Any child you can assist, please, for Allah's sake, if we want to save our country, we want to save our nation, we want to save our community, we want to reduce evil. These are the ways. Laws alone will not reduce evil. If you like, set death sentence for all crimes. It will not reduce the crime when you are not solving the cause of the crime. They say prevention is what? Better than cure. We are good in curing, not what? Preventing. Yes. We are good in complaining, not in what? Looking for solution. So may Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, those children, may Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, save them, and then as He promised, making sure they have good future, may Allah make Him fulfill His own promise. And me and you too, like I said, even me talking, you now ask yourself, each and every one of us, there are some of you, if you can't send a child to private school, you can send a child to public school. So let each and every one of us begin to check how we assist these children roaming the street. Not until you bring the child to your house. Maybe the one you can meet the parent, check why he's not going to school. How much does the school need? Talk to somebody. Let them take them to the school, pay the school fees, and you know, it's the part of Jannah. Maybe you may not know why Allah, some of us, what will put you in Jannah is that, not even the salah. First, a lady was given Jannah because she gave water to a dog, not human being, dog, a prostitute. So what more of somebody who saved human life? So let us begin to ask ourselves, how are we saving these children? Do it as your own act of ibadah. Do it as your own way of serving Allah. Do it as your own way of serving Allah Ta'ala. It is not easy doing good things. You know, human selfishness, you will ask yourself, okay, if I sponsor the child, what is my benefit? Your benefit Allah will give you more than you can imagine. Wallahu fi auni al-abd. You don't believe? Allah says He helps His servant so long as His servant helps who? His brother. Allah doesn't need anything from you. He doesn't need anything. Ma uridu minhum min rizqi wa ma uridu an yut'imun. He doesn't need you. So if you want to do something for Allah, it's through your brothers, through your community, through your neighbor. And like I said, sometimes even a non-Muslim, when you help a non-Muslim, it is your intention that will make it ibadah. Wallahi, even if it is a non-Muslim you help, you are doing da'wah, and that will give you Jannah, because you are showing him the kindness of Islam. May Allah make it easy for all. So even if it is Chidimma, you too can sponsor to school. Go and sponsor Chidimma to school. So if you can sponsor Chidimma to school, then why can't you sponsor Rukaya to school? Common sense. Abi? Yes, you will not be able to send Chidimma to school because you've also neglected Suwaiba. Yes, you can neglect your brother and also be serious somewhere now. May Allah guide us all. So may Allah Ta'ala, all of us, may He give us the means of inshallah doing something good before we leave this world. Our children, may Allah protect them from us. May Allah continue to give us the means of raising our children in the way that is desirable to Allah Ta'ala. Those in power in the area they are going wrong, may Allah Ta'ala guide them to do the right thing. And in the area they are right, may Allah strengthen them. And each and every one of us, the means that we can use in helping our communities, helping our deen, may Allah Ta'ala continue to provide them. And our brothers who have gone back to Allah Ta'ala, may Allah forgive them, grant them Jannah. And those who are still alive, may Allah Ta'ala strengthen them on Islam. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم لا تجعلنا في مقامنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا كربا إلا نفسه ولا دين إلا قضيته ولا سلة ولا عدو إلا قتلته ولا مبتلا إلا عافيته ولا ميت إلا رحمته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة هي لك رضا ولنا فيها صلاة إلا أنتنا على قضائها وفتح الرحيمين. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. الله العظيم الجليل يذكركم واشكروه على آلائه ونعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله